Hi all. So I hope you are able to see my screen. So we can start the session for today. So as I mentioned earlier class, so today we are going to be starting Python introduction with sample program. So which covers basically what is Python, and we have to start any simple program like if I want to run the sum of the two numbers, or if I want to perform a basic hello world program. So we required two things. One is input statement, another one is output statement basically. That means how to read the input from the keyboard and how to print output on the screen or monitor or console, we can say that. So we required input statement. What is the input statement should be used in the Python? Similarly, what is the output statement? Similarly, to describe the program, we may generally use the comments. So it means whatever the program we may write, so we are going to be writing, so what is the logic we written, or why we written this particular logic only, or why we define some particular variable, what is the purpose of to define that variable. So simple way I can say that if you want to give proper documentation about the program what you are going to be writing, so for that we use the comments. Okay, and after that definitely we required a concept called data types. What are the different data types which are available in the Python to define a variable. And similarly, we'll go with sample program then after that. And after this, if time permits, we'll go with operators. What are the different operators we have? But detailedly, we'll cover in the next topic operators. But high level, maybe if time permits, I will cover. Otherwise, we'll stick on this part. And there is another simple topic called typecasting also. Yeah. Yes, so these are the few topics I'm planning to cover today. Okay. So based on our our flow and your understanding, we may go for one by one. But please try to raise your hands, or like ask any questions if you have while I'm going to the bit by bit. Okay. And coming to the first one, what is Python? So basically, as we discussed in the previous class, a Python is a scripting language. If you speak about straight away, but if you speak detailedly, Python is a high level interpreted sorry, interpreter based okay general purpose scripting language. Okay. So in simpler words, if you speak about Python, we have so many features. We'll discuss in the next class features of Python. But high level, if you speak, a Python is a high level. So we more talk about this high level and low level language in last class, like binary and English. So Python is high level. That's why we will write our all programs in English language only. So for that, to convert that into lower language or system understandable binary format, Python using interpreter internally to convert the code. So that's why we call it as a interpreter based language. That means it does not use any compiler. Okay, it using only interpreter. So it indicating that it will run the program line by line. So first line, once execution completed, it will go for second line. Once second line execution completed, third go for third line. Likewise, it will go for line by line execution. And if any issue identified by the interpreter, it will stop the execution and it will show the error or what is the actual issue at that line. It will show that, and once you fix that, then only it will go to the further execution. Okay. So likewise, it will continue the execution line by line. So that's why we called it as an interpreter based language. Okay. And now we called Python also as a general purpose language. What it means, so generally when we go for some programming language or some any technology, they are specific to some area or some domain, or I can say that specific to some application. Example, if you speak about HTML, it is only designed to develop the web pages, static web pages, I can say that, okay? But it cannot do any other work other than the web page designing. Similarly, SQL. If you go for SQL, it is only used for interacting with the database. It cannot perform any other than that. Likewise, few languages designed such a way that the intention or the application of the respective language will be specific to one scope only. But when we go for some programming language designed such a way that that can be used for multiple purposes, or I can say that multiple areas you can use that language to implement the applications. Like example, Java, .NET, Python, as like that. Python also general purpose. It means by using Python, you can develop the different types of applications. So if you learn the Python, it is not specific to one domain or one area of development or one area of even job roles also, I can say that. So Python is giving a huge or variations or variety of development options, so that once you learn the Python perfectly, you can opt for any of that choices we have. So like example, I will tell you few options what we can do after learning the Python. First one, very straightforward, application development. So by using Python, you can develop the desktop applications, web applications, and even mobile applications also, even games also you can develop by using Python. Okay, but one point I can clearly call out: only Python it give you a knowledge or a path towards the application development. But on top of the Python, you should learn any of the framework. So that means if you want to develop the web applications, I mean to say like Facebook or Instagram or Flipkart, such kind of web applications, if you want to develop, then you may learn a framework like Django we called, or Flask, or Pyramid. There is a different frameworks on top of Python. Similarly, if you do the data analysis, you need to learn the what you call Matplotlib, Seaborn, and Scikit-learn. These are the different libraries which are available in the Python. Likewise, for every application development on top of Python, you should learn one particular technology. But for all that, the fundamental technology will be Python only. So likewise, by using Python, you can develop the applications, you can develop the mobile apps, web applications, and you can do the data analytics. So that's what we call data analysis, and you can use it in the data science. That is what algorithm designs and model designs, that all part. ML and AI, very popular, right in the current market, what we are listening or using. ML and AI also can be driven by the Python only. And after that, like IoT, like Internet of Things, like controlling the hardware devices with your smart mobile, so that also we can achieve through Python language. So, and also we have different combinations of Python, like example, Python which we can be used with deep learning and image processing, and also we have data analysis, and we have like testing, very important thing, automation testing. We can use Python like Selenium, Playwright. So these are the different frameworks which will help to do the automation testing. So likewise, Python has a huge options in the market. That's why if you learn the Python, you have a very good options in the market to choose your career path. Okay, so that is the one of the major important aspect of the Python. Okay, and coming to the final point is, it is scripting language. That means, so basically, it is a simple, straightforward scripting language to develop the programs. It's not unlike Java. We don't have much rules and regulations, not more syntactical rules. So that's why everyone feels like comparatively Java, Python is little easy because of the nature of writing the program, because of the nature of execution of the program. It seems to be easy. And also majority of the confusing topics they removed. Like example, they don't given the choice of two options. Like example, if you go for conditions only. In other language we have if else along with switch, but in Python we have only if else, there is no switch. Similarly, while, do while in other language. In Python we have only while. Similarly, for each, for in Python we have only for each. So likewise, wherever there is a possibility of reducing the concept, there are that all topics will be removed here, like example increment decrement operators, there's not there in the Python. And also the way of writing, the structure of the program also very simple to write and very simple to understand. So that's why easy to adapt and we can easily understand also. Okay, so that is how the Python is a simple scripting language to develop the complex applications, I can say that. Okay, so that is a simple intro about the Python. So if anybody have any questions till this point, please ask me, otherwise we'll go with next topic. I will give just maybe. Okay, good. Any other questions from any other one? Okay. So now if you want to write simple program in Python, so first thing, input output statements. Okay. So input statement means this statement will help you to read the some data from the keyboard. Like example, if you sorry, somebody ping in the chart. Let me check that. Okay, sorry. No message. Yeah. Okay, so like if you want to read some input from the keyboard dynamically, then we can use the input statement. Otherwise, in the program itself also you can give the inputs, like the values which we are used for the execution, I can say that. So here the name itself is called input only. Okay, so input off. So this is the inbuilt function in the Python, so which will help you to read some input from the keyboard. Okay, but here we need to understand two things. This input can have the argument, may not have the argument. Like example, like this empty braces you can use, or you can provide a message to user to do the input operation. Like example, enter a value, or please enter to your name. Some command, I can say that the instruction to the user what need to be performed on the keyboard. So that instruction we can provide here. Okay. And the third point you need to understand here, by default, this input statement will read your data in the form of string. Okay, like whatever the data, whether it is a numerical, decimal, or whatever the data you given through the keyboard, that's stored in the form of strings internally. Okay, when you are using input statement. So to make sure that to perform the right operation on the given data, you need to convert into respective data type. So because by default is coming from string. Okay, so maybe if it is int, you need to integer. Okay, if it is float, you need to convert to float. So likewise, you require to convert the given input from the keyboard into required data type. Okay, or format, I can say that. So this process only we call generally typecasting. So typecasting means basically converting from one type to another type. Okay, so now, so before going to this one detailedly, we will cover this topic first so that you may understand more about this is keywords what I'm using here. Okay, data types. So basically data type is indicating, first of all, it's a keyword basically. Okay, and it is indicating what type of data we are going to be storing in the respective variable, or what type of data we are using in the program execution. So that is indicating by basically data type. Okay, so data type is indicating straight away, I can say the type of the value, what type of the value we are going to be using. Simple. Okay, and also it will generally tell that size or allocation of memory also, how much memory does it require to store in the program. Like example, we given some 5 as a value, so some memory is required, right, to execute in the program, to execute in our system. So some MB, I mean that bytes required, 2 bytes or 4 bytes, some bytes required. So that size also will generally indicating by data type. Okay, so if Python supports data types, okay, like it supports int, float, string, and boolean, and there is a special type called complex, And also collection types we have. Okay, collection means having the multiple items at a time, like example list, tuple, set, and dictionary. These are the basically inbuilt data types in the Python. But there is no arrays directly in the Python, but through using NumPy module, we can use arrays. But by default, we have in the Python is list. List is acting as a arrays in the Python. But we'll discuss more deeply about that once we come into the collection topic. Okay. But these are the data types which will allow you to store the data in the Python program. Okay. So by seeing that, see, they don't have multiple types also, like example double, long, short, like that we don't have. So very straightforward. If you want to store the numerical values like 1 2 3, we can use the int. If you want to store the larger decimal values, I can say that, then we can go for float. And if you want to store the any kind of string related text or special symbols, then we can go with string. True or false, boolean. Complex a plus ib format, but mostly we may not use, but still there is a type. Okay. And if you want to store multiple values at a time, like example multiple strings or integers and combination of integers and strings, so that for that purpose we have collections. So out of this collection we may use any of that, and each individual have some difference, we'll discuss later. Okay. But these are the data types which are available in the Python by default, which we can use to work with our programs. Okay. And by using these data types, we can define the variables basically. So variable means a place of memory, I can say that a place of memory where we can store the data. Example, a equal to 10 I written. So here we call 10 is value, equal is an operator, and a is the variable. So basically a variable always pointing to the memory where actual value is stored. So that means the 10, what is the actual value here, will store somewhere in our memory in our computer, right? So for that memory we can't refer directly, so that is indirectly indicating by this a only. So now a is a memory or a placeholder or a container where we can store our data, but a is not the actual data. So 10 is the actual data. Okay. So that's why a can be changed at any time with any value. Okay. So there is no hardcore rule, like example initially a will be 10, throughout the program a should be 10. It's not like that. A value can be changed at any time of the execution. So that's why variable value can always change, or we can modify the variable value at the time of execution. So we like initially you can initialize with some value, but later on you can modify. Yes, we can do with the variable. Okay. But now to define this variable, generally we require data types basically if you go for C, Java. But here another one of the good point in the Python is it's a dynamically typed language. Okay. Dynamically typed language means, so what is dynamically typed language? Dynamically, yeah. So what is dynamically means, whatever the variable you declared in the Python program, you don't require to define that variable externally what type it is. Python will take care internally by the system itself. You don't require to define. Example, in this case, I defined a equal to 10. Okay. So, but if you go for Java, so the same example, we should write int a equal to 10. Like this we should write. If you go for C also, because they in that languages we should explicitly define what type of value it is or what type of variable it is. But in Python, unlike that, you don't require to define it by the value which you assigned. Here if you clearly observe that I assigned a equal to 10. So what is 10 here? It is an integer, it's a number. So by that the system will a is an integer, but you don't require to externally define the a is in a variable or a is an integer or a is a float. So that is what we call dynamically typed language. Okay. So that means whenever you are going to be defining any variable, wherever you required, just take the variable and use it. You don't require to define that variable starting of the program, or you don't require to define that variable anywhere in the program. Just use as is without notating any type. System will take care the defining the what type it is. Like example, in this case, it will take care as an integer. If I'm writing b is equal to 1.3, then system will understand it is a float. And if I'm writing C equal to hello, then system will understand it is a string. Simple, straightforward logic. You don't require to write any data types in front of the variables. Okay, so that is the one extra advantage in the Python. You don't require to remember or identify the system will take care that identification. Okay, so here a b c whatever we are writing we called variables, and what are the right side we call these are values, and this variable can be type of any of the list above I mentioned. That's why we call these are data types. So this might be type of any of these in the Python. So Python support these types of any of the variable you can write and you can use in the program. Okay, and as I mentioned now, so in input statement by default the data will be stored in the string. Now to work with the respective inputs with different formats, like example numerical or decimal format, you require to change that into other formats. So that process we call typecasting. So typecasting means simply we can call converting from one data type to another. So if you convert one data type to another data type, we called it is a typecasting. So typecasting means converting from one data type to another data type which is required in our types. I mean that which is required in our program. Okay, so now coming to the types. So typecasting generally in Python, okay, we have basically two types. One is implicit typecasting, another one explicit typecasting. Implicit means, like in this typecasting we have two types. One is implicit, another one explicit. The name itself is telling. Implicit means will done automatically by the system internally. Okay, will be so it will be done by system internally. But in explicit case we have to do externally. So externally we have to do. Okay, and in implicit typecasting generally implicit type it will happen means when it is converted from lower to higher. Okay, when we are converting lower to higher it will generally convert automatically. But explicit when you want to do without like any loss of data, like if you want to convert yourself, like example you forcibly wants to convert one type to another type, then we may go for explicit. Okay, so I will show you simple example also here. And coming to the explicit, we need to do forcibly, so we need some functions. So for that we have inbuilt function, nothing that your data types. If you want to convert into int of we have to use, similarly float, similarly str for string of, similarly we have boolean and list. Simple, all data types will act as a type converting functions. Okay, tuple. So these are all forcible typecasters. Like means if you want to forcibly convert, yes, you can convert into respective types. So these are the different types which are available in the our Python. Okay, I will tell you simple examples also. Okay, so for example I will consider a simple example. Let's take a equal to 10 is there. Okay, let's take b equal to 2.5 is there. Okay, now if I'm writing c equal to a plus b, okay, now if I'm using the print c, okay, so now the output will be here, it will give you 12.5 and the data type will be converted as a float. Okay, so what I'm trying to explain here, if you see b is a float, definitely we know that, but a is an integer, it's a 10 is an integer. But what happens internally, when you are trying to adding this integer to float, the system internally will convert a into float, that is 10.0, and then that will add to the 2.5, the final result will be 12.5, and that will be float type. So likewise in this case if you observe that the type of the a is converted to float by the system itself, we didn't do that, system only perform that. So this is what we call implicit typecasting. Okay, in this case it happens implicit typecasting. Okay, but if in the same case, let's take example, a equal to 10 is there, b equal to 20 which is in the double quotes is there. Okay, now I'm writing c equal to a plus b. Now if I'm printing the value, what is our expectation? Basically 30. But here the output will be not, here the output will be not the 30, it will be 1020, because the integer string cannot be automatically merged as a numericals or convert as a numericals. So they will concat. So because you are concatenating a string with a numerical, so it will behave like a string only. So that means now 10 instead of 30 you will get the 1020. But what is our expectation here? We want some of the two numbers. That means b should be converted as integer, but system cannot do that because system does not know that we it has to convert into, we should inform that. So for that only we should use int of. So now b, initially it is a string, but because of this typecasting int of, it will convert into number. Now the output will be 30. So this is explicit typecasting. So likewise we can convert the type of data from one type to another type as per requirement. Okay. And before going to the next point, last point for just giving, I'll give you the break so that we'll discuss on the doubts. Okay. So output statement, that is what basically which used for printing something on the console or monitor. So basically in Python we have straightforward statement, that is print. Okay. If you want to print something on the screen, we will use print only. So see the terminology also, if you clearly observe that, input for input, print for printing, and int for converting the integer. See, the naming convention also very easy to understand, very easy to remember. So unlike Java, if you go for Java to read something, we use the scanner, where we have the next int, next float, different methods we have. Similarly, to print something, system.out.println we should write. So it little complicated to understand, remember also. But here it's a straightforward functions we have in the Python to do the programming. That's why it's a little easy to understand, remember the programming also. Okay. So the yeah, anyway, so output statement we have in Python is print. Okay. So if you are printing something message, we will use the double quotes, or if you are printing some variable, like example a equal to 10 is there, now you want to print a, you can go with simply print a. So without double quotes, system will treat as a variable. So that means it will search for the respective variable in the above in the program. If it is not defined, it will throw an error. But if you put in the double quotes, irrespective of the content, whatever we have in the double quotes, it will print same thing in the console. So that's the difference between with double quotes and without double quotes. Okay. So I'm giving a break of 2 minutes. So please ask me if you have any doubts, whatever the topics I covered so far, like what is Python, input statement, typecasting, and data types, variable, and output statement. So in these all topics, if anybody wants to repeat the topic, or if you want any doubts, please ask me. If not, we'll go with sample program. But these are very simple fundamentals. We'll cover each and everything detailedly for upcoming classes. So today we'll go introduction part, and gradually we'll cover all the programming topics like operators, conditional statements, and everything. Anyone have any doubts till this point? If you are unable to speak, you can ping in the chat.
No doubt, sir.
Good.
That
Anyone?
that
Any other questions
so
till this point?
typecasting Python.
Sorry.
Could you do the typecasting in Python?
Yeah, I will do that in PyCharm. I will run all the programs. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So before going to the PyCharm, last but not least, I will tell you the last point. So I mentioned data types right here. So to know the data types, like what is the type of the value, what is the proof of that? Example, I told here a equal to 10, like it is integer, b equal to 1.4 is a float. But what is the proof of that? So to know that, or what is the system is allocated for that variable, like really is system allocated for integer for this a equal 10. So to show that, or to know that in the programmatically, we have an inbuilt function called type. Okay. So if you mention type of a, so then the system will give you what type it is allocated internally for that respective variable. Okay. So likewise, we can see check the data type of the respective variable. So type is inbuilt function. So which will help you to get the type of the variable which is allocated in the system. Okay. So now before going to that, one more topic we missed, that is comments. Okay, so comments basically which will help you to, as I mentioned, like, describe the program. Like, it is not for execution. That means what are the comments you written in the program, it may not shown on the output or execution. It will be just for describing or explaining you what you written in the program. So here we have two types. One is inline, another one is multi-line, we called single line or inline, or another one is obviously multi-line. So inline or single line we indicating by hash symbol. So this is indicating single line comments. Okay, and whereas multiple, which we are indicating by triple quotes, either three double triple quotes or three triple single quotes, whatever it is, it will treat as a comment only, multi-line comment. That means you can write the multiple, a paragraph, I can say that a paragraph you can write as a comment, multiple lines. Okay, but these are not part of the execution. I will show you in the PyCharm also. These are only for understanding purpose. We will write the extra comments for that. Okay, so this is all about our introduction points. We'll see some programs today, we'll see. Okay, so now what I'm trying to do here, I'm opening the existing, okay, Python practice. I'm going to open. Yeah, so here I'm taking I have 4 Python, I guess. Yeah, okay, let's take a new directory. Okay, so what I'm doing here, I'm writing Python basics. Okay, so under that I'm going to be creating new. So I hope you all are installed the PyCharm, and last session Radhakrishna help you to set up the all the softwares in your mission. So but still if you feel not comfort, or if you are not installed, or if you're still facing the issue, please ping in our chat group. So I will assign developer to support you. Okay, so don't hesitate to ping in the chat, and also please install it as soon as possible if you're not yet done, because once the program you started practice, then only you will get some interest on the programming. Okay, and now I'm choosing the Python file, and here first program I'm doing, let's take example, hello world. Okay, very traditional programming program. So here the Python extension will be .py. So PyCharm will take care automatically, but even though if you want to give, you can give the .py also. Okay. So now, as I mentioned already, like if I want to print something, we can use the print statement and followed by some message which you want to type it. So let's take, I'm writing welcome to Python course by Satish, comma, Fratello. Okay, F-R-A-T-E-L-L. FratelloInnoTech. As I mentioned all the time, whatever the content we written in the double quotes, it will treat as a string only. Okay, even the comma treat as a string only. And if you want to run the program, so right, just a second, it's showing that interpreter not configured. So see, if you find such kind of issue, that means Python installed in our machine, but unfortunately that Python is not what you can say that configured to this particular PyCharm. So that's why we have to configure that before execution. So I'm selecting 3.12 as my version. So now if you see the down, here it is automatically configured. But still if you want to change to higher or downgrade versions, click on it, add new interpreter. You can add or manipulate anything, and settings also we can modify. So we'll see this part also in one class, like PyCharm customization, how to add multiple interpreters, or how to remove the existing, and how to add the custom libraries like existing packages, and how to connect with the Git daily basis. This all will take one more class, so where you can understand the daily communication. Okay, and now anyway, interpreter configured, I'm running this program. So you see, welcome to Python course by Satish, comma, FratelloInnoTech. So whatever we type in the content, same thing we got as an output. Okay, and now last example, I'm giving a equal to 10. Okay, so now I'm writing print, as I mentioned, so a equal to, let's check, instead of only I'm giving a. Okay, so if I'm running this program, you see, you will get the, oh sorry, where is the rerun? Yeah, here is the rerun option. So if you see, we got a, because even though we defined as a variable, but we given in the print statement as a double quote. So that means The print will only take as a string only. But if I want to print as a value, then as I mentioned, remove this double quotes. Now it will treat as a value, and instead of a, it will print now 10. You see that. So that means if you if you want to print some variable value, don't give the double quotes. And also similarly, if I'm giving b here, now it will search for the b in the program. You see immediately showing an error because we didn't declare anywhere in the b. So that means it is giving an error. So there is no variable called Python. Name b is not defined. See that. So likewise, and also if you clearly observe that this is the best proof of Python. This is that even though we have a error in the program and straight away it's a syntactical error, not even runtime error, okay, syntactical error, and there is a straight away showing in the program itself, though the line number 1 is executed. If you see that output, welcome to Python, see that. That is the nature of the interpreter. But if you go for executing the same program by the compiler, you will see this error, you won't see this output, because compiler means it will scan all the issues. Once all the issues resolved, only you will able to run the program. But interpreter, it will execute line by line. First line, do we have any issues? No, it will start to execute, and they'll go for second line, no issue. Third, then only it will stop the program. That means the first program already got executed. That's why you're able to see the output. So it is the best proof of Python is an interpreter based language, not in a compiler based language. Okay. And after that, one more point here. Now if I want to print both string and value side by side, like example a equal to I want, okay. Now likewise, if you want to print the data, we can separate this content by using comma. So as like C language, comma is a separator from the string to string and string to numerical values also. So now you will able to see that a equal to 10, you see both string and value. And but the same approach we can achieve in different ways also. Like one approach is this one by using comma, and the second approach we can use the format function also. Like example, okay, so you can write a equal, okay, here you can write curly bracket and dot. We have a function called format, and here you can pass the actual value. Okay, so this is the another approach of executing the string with values. You see a equal 10. Okay, so that means each curly bracket will replace with one value. Like example, if you have the two curlies, you have to write the here format a comma b, like that. How many you want, that many you can replace with the values. And third approach, same. I'm telling to print the combination of values with string. We can write this many ways. There is a F quotation, F simple F. It is indicating formatter. So here, like this also we can use F colon and A equal to curly bracket, but you can give the variable there. So now system will understand this curly bracket A is actual value and this is the simple plain text. Okay. Likewise also you can print. See now you see all are indicating A equal 10 only, but with different approaches. Okay. First one is comma separator. Second one by using format function. Third one by using format notifier or indicator. Okay. So but these all three ways we can use to print the data with text. Okay. And as I mentioned, right, so a equal 10, what it will indicate generally integer, right? So I'm printing that type is equal to, as I mentioned, we have inbuilt function called type of a. So it will give you an integer. You see the type, see that class as an integer. That means the system is assigned for a variable as an integer in the internal. Okay. So likewise, you can see the type of the value also. So till this point, any questions or any doubts till this point?
No, sir.
Okay, good. So now we will see the second example for typecasting. Okay. So very simple example. As I mentioned, first one, A equal to 10, B equal to 2.5, and now C equal to A plus B. And here I'm printing C value. Okay. And we can run this one. So now you see 12.5, we got it. Okay. So now same example as I mentioned, let's take instead of A, I'm taking P. P is equal to 10, Q is equal to C, but in string format I'm giving. Okay. And now let's take R is equal to P plus Q. Okay. And now print R. Okay. So now you see whatever the data we are giving here, if you see p plus q, because p is an integer, q is a string. So both different, so there cannot be directly combine each other. Okay, so you will see the unsupported operand types plus intent string, so these cannot be directly combine each other. Either both should be string format or both should be integer format, so that only we can do that. For this only we need to explicitly convert that particular value. Like example, here first approach will be, here you can use str of p. Okay, that means both will get the string. See, 10 20 concatenated. So now both are converted as a strings, and both can be concatenated as even though they are numbers, even though they are numerical values only, but system is treating as externally strings. Now no, I don't want like that. I want, let's take example, as an integer. Okay, so now instead of converting the p, you can convert of q. But in both cases, we are explicitly converting from one type to another type. So this is what we call explicit typecasting. So first, in this, whatever the example we covered, this is called implicit typecasting, and whatever the second we are using, this is called explicit typecasting. So implicit means internally will system will do that. Explicit means we have to do manually converting into the required format so that the operation will be successful. Okay. So this is what we call typecasting in Python, and we have two types: implicit typecasting and explicit typecasting. Okay. Any doubt as of now?
Okay.
Okay, fine. And as I mentioned, operators like comments, right? See, for example, so let's check. This is sample program. Okay. So now whatever I written here, it may not execute now. See, even though it's part of the program, you are not getting any output. So it is for only explanation of the program. Okay. So this is simple program, and tomorrow we'll see these are all static input we call, means we given the input in the program itself. But how to take combination of inputs from the keyboard and how to perform different operations, we'll see tomorrow by covering operators. So tomorrow we'll cover the operators topic, and after that we'll cover the some examples on operators by taking the dynamic input. Okay. So this is for today, and if you have any questions or doubts, ask me before closing the session, and even in the chat also you can ask me, and I will share the video also in the YouTube. Okay.